welcome back, everyone, to Skyrim 10 AD. I believe this is episode 27, and we are starting off our adventure as our party with a few extras, with Avrusa Soretti, the legendary alchemist, and George and Lenny in tow. Make their way back to Falkreath by way of the ruins of where they met up with a Spriggan. Turns out a noble Spriggan, aiding them in their mission to cure what disease and curse had befallen the waterways of Falkreath by way of a Argonian alchemist out to do the bidding of what appears to be a Daedric prince, Mafala. There has been some allusions to it having something to do with Luke Icewalker, but nobody knows for sure. But they're now making their way back to Falkreath. They're going to stop in the ruins to try and help out a couple of bears who seem to have inadvertently been infected by the curse, the poison that he had spread throughout Falkreath. So, what would you guys like to do? You've head out of Falkreath Tower back out onto the road. You pick up your horses again, who are happily grazing on the foliage outside. But you do only have 5 horses, so you have one each. One for that was given to Lenny, but you have an extra 2 people now.
Well, Mouse will offer his mount to the Lady Avrusa.
Okay.
And walk. He's perfectly happy to walk. That's what he does.
Yeah. Lenny tries to, says to George to get on the horse with him, but George just says that's not a good idea, Lenny. It's and she goes, I'll walk along ahead, keep an eye out as well.
They might be Nordic horses, but they're not that strong.
So you make your way down. It takes about half a day to get down to where the ruins were, on the long side of the road, and probably about an hour just off the road to head in, and then said that, well, no, probably not. You can see the ruins. Probably about 20 minutes just off the road to head into the ruins, to where you see the bears, and they're still there. They're sort of they've actually moved forward from where you left them. They were sort of staying further back from it. They've now come up to either side of where you now see the sort of the dry, lifeless kind of carving of what used to be the Spriggan who you spoke to the night before.
Luke, can we pour a little bit of that on the roots of the tree before we do anything else?
Yeah, no, I think it's so I would say we approach the bears the same way we did, the day before, arms open, et cetera, and assuming the bears aren't hostile, I think Mouse's plan is good.
They're looking a little worse. We're looking a little worse than they were last night. It seems that without the aid of the Spriggan, that the infection has spread a little bit more. So it's starting to spread up further towards the head of both the animals. But they see both you two return, and Lenny joins you as well. He comes in, and again he has his warhammer out, and he's walking up alongside you. You pour the water from one of the vials out around the roots, and both the bears sort of look at it gently and look at the Spriggan and nothing happens.
Well, I'm going to take, Mouse takes a vial and pours a little bit into the palm of his hand and walks slowly towards one of the bears and holds out his hand.
Roll an animal check, please. Animal handling check.
Oh, God help.
Yeah, I just want to see if you can keep that hand.
Yeah, I know. God help me. Let's see. So that's an 8.
8.
I'm sorry. Oh, the dot is on the bottom. It's a 11.
11. You're lucky because the other way you weren't keeping a hand.
Yeah. The 6 and the 9. Yep. It's an 11.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't trust you that much, but eventually, he's sort of like, he's a little wary, but eventually he does sort of like come towards, and he's sort of like got it in his mind of like, of what he was told, what was knowledge was passed on to him from his friend from last night, is that he should probably trust you. So he does go up and sort of like starts to take a drink, and again you see it takes a few pourings. You have to pour it in, and he keeps drinking more and more before you see the magical effect of the spiral of golden light that sort of like surrounds him. It takes a full vial of the potion they had for that effect to come in, and the spiral comes around, and you see sort of like all the black veins sort of like dissipate off from him. He still has the bald patches of fur still there, but the skin looks a lot better and a lot sort of like healthier, more pinker than it was before. And and the other one,
I guess Mouse will do the same, hoping that the other bear has seen what's happened to its companion and will trust me.
Okay, so Mouse, roll another animal handling check.
13 this time.
13, yeah, you're fine. Pretty much the same sort of thing. Yeah, they seem to be good help, but they seem again a lot better. The eyes are a little brighter and stuff like they don't appear to like give any acknowledgement of a thank you or anything like that, but they just sort of like go back to sitting down next to the Spriggan sort of like kind of statue type thing now. Yeah. And they just sort of like sit down, lie down next to it, and you sort of like back away slowly.
Well, I look at
if you're a bear, nothing says thank you like not eating your liver. So
very, very true.
Yeah.
So, should we try holding the remains of the taproot against the trunk of the tree?
Oh, we still have it?
Yeah,
because she presumed it was consumed.
She had only carefully trimmed it.
But no, remember she broke it at the end and dropped it in the cauldron. Okay. That's what I remember. Yeah, that she
it was consumed. All the sort of like the divine essence that was traveled through it from like obviously Kine into them to sort of like sort of like it spread her will. It was consumed and sort of like added. Kind of the similar thing of the Daedric heart when it was added to the poison before. It was more of a ritual thing. It was infusing the potion with the vileness, the Daedric magic, and infusing that into the poison to transform it into a curse. She was doing the opposite. She was using the divine energy and adding that to the healing potion to sort of like cure disease, to also add the divine energy to cure the curse, and it consumed the divine magic from it.
So the best we can hope for is that pouring a little bit of that, the essence will perhaps infuse the roots of the Spriggan and bring her back to life.
Roll a nature check.
Me?
Yeah, no? Well, yeah, if you're the one who's thinking about it.
Yeah. And I don't get much from nature. Intelligence, so that would be a 14.
14. You do remember that she seems to remember you from before.
Yes, I do remember that.
And remembering you from before, and now she's back again, you're probably thinking that they probably don't actually die, seeing as they're a part of the forest, that maybe that eventually she'll be able to come back to where she is now.
Well, that makes Mouse feel a little better despite his.
Yeah, with a 14, you're not 100% sure of how that would be possible. Divine is not your thing. And what's it? The nature of Spriggans as well. So you're not too sure on it, but it does sort of lead you in that sort of direction of where she came back. Hopefully that she's going to come back again.
Yeah.
So you guys head back to the horses and follow on, and you take the same route again and head across the choose with the some part a forest, some part sort of cut down trees for lumber and stuff like that, heading closer and closer to Falkreath. Could have let's see, probably Luke and Jaquai roll perception checks as you're heading back towards, and you're getting closer and closer to Falkreath. Now you can see it off in the distance, and you're heading down.
That's pretty good. 20 something, maybe 21.
And mine's just 20.
20. Well, both of you quite clearly see this. So as you're heading down towards, and you're heading down into Falkreath, it's the same. Well, it's sort of Smoky Town, the smokestack coming out from not the smokestack, but the smoke trail coming out from a few of the houses, and you see the larger smoke trail. You assume is coming from Lod's. I forgot the bloody name of it. His blacksmithing area, furnace. There we go. And as you look over to your left, and you look beyond the wood mill to the area that just overlooks Falkreath, sort of just on the outer skirts of town, sort of probably a good 20-minute walk from the gates of Falkreath. You see approximately 30 to 40 men, women, elves, orcs, high elves, Bosmer, Khajiit, a few carts all set up in camps, some campfires, all camped out right on the outskirts of Falkreath, on the outside of the city. Some of them are dressed in leather armor. Some you see just in robes, especially the couple of high elves. Some of them are drinking. Some of them, the Khajiit, one Khajiit that you do notice that catches your eye, Jaquai, is one real brute of a Khajiit. She's big, black fur, and the Skyrim Khajiit, so not panther-like or lion-like. She's Skyrim Khajiit with the similar type to you are. So born under the same moons, but she is so thick and big and burly, and she's standing on one of the carts and sort of lifting up large meat barrels with one hand, just banging them down on the side. And a couple of them start rooting around behind one of the carts, and she just reaches out these clawed hands, nearly takes off one of his arms as she swings her around. A few of the high elves are standing on the edge of what seems to be a ring, a man-made ring, a ring made of men and women as they're all standing around. Two, one large Nord and one seems to be a young, really gangly Bosmer, beating the living shit out of each other. And just as the Nord is about to plant one right on the youngster, one of the Altmer wizards in hers has a light spell just flash right in front of the Nord's eyes and misses. And then the Bosmer starts running around him, starts jumping on his back and rabbit punching him for the shit out of him. And they made up of all different types, walks of people, but they're all kind of dirty and rowdy, and they don't see it. They're definitely not soldiers, and you're not 100% sure, but you definitely would probably want to avoid a group like this as you slowly venture down into Skyrim. And as you get closer, you look over towards the gate of Falkreath, and there's about 9-10 guards all standing at the front of the gate. Haven't got weapons drawn, but all around the gate that's facing this crowd of young men, women, all different races. And you venture down, you go past the Hall of the Dead, venture into Full Creek proper. And as you look ahead, you see just in the main square of the area, as you pass Matthias's farm, and you're looking at Lod's blacksmithing, is Lod's shop, and then to the left is the Jarl's longhouse. You see about 3 or 4 more guards, and seem to be arguing with a very large Nord woman. She's in full heavy armor with no helmet on, and she has face paint going across, kind of like in a crosshatch. So from the top of her right temple, it goes in streaks across all of her eyes and across the top of her nose to the top of her lip, and then from the opposite temple down. So it ends up in a crosshatch across her eyes and across her nose. And beaten the fuck, her nose broken probably in about three different times, scars above the eyes, big heavy shield, and a mace down at her side. And I say, will you guys really leave me the fuck alone? She goes, I am a legitimate businesswoman. She goes, no, I'm a fucking landowner. So you guys can just fuck off. Yeah, and one of the guys turns around and goes, we're not leaving your fucking site, fucking Rigel. You're scum. We know you're scum. We don't give a fuck. Who the fuck do you think you are now? He goes. So as you're slowly trying to make sense of what's going on, the door of the Jarl's longhouse opens up, and you see another Nord woman coming out. Not as large as the first one, but long red hair. And her armor is again metal, but this is kind of like a dark Nordic metal with black fur coming off. Very, very sharp, very well made. And the first one with the war paint on turns around to her and goes, give me a second. She says, so, what did they say? And the other one's going, he goes, yep. Also, it even took it for less. He goes, you are now the proud owner of Pine Watch. The other one turns around, she goes, see? Landowner. Legitimate businesswoman. Now fuck off and leave me alone. And then they see you walking in as you're walking in. And then you see that the 2 Nord women are standing next to each other. And you're now in the main square getting off your horses. What would you like to do?
Love what you've done with the place.
The guards look at you and they go, oh, you're back. The 2 women look over at you and they go, you're back. How did it go? What happened?
Is that the guard or one of the 2 women?
No, one of the guards.
Okay. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. We met success.
Oh, you got the skooma dealer?
Yeah, and more importantly, the source of the poison.
Oh, you'll definitely want to go in and talk to Nenya. He goes, but we've got bigger fish to fry at the moment. And he goes, I suppose you saw that mass of bandits we've got on the outside. And he goes, and the Nord woman with the shorter one with the long red hair turns around and goes, bandits. He goes, mercenary group, I will have you know. Yes. We are on retainer from y'all Lady Blackbriar. And he goes, she turns around, she goes, I'm Fiola. She goes, of the Mistwatch Security Company. We are legitimate mercenaries, and we aid Lady Blackbriar in keeping the borders of Riften safe. And now, with the acquiescence of your Jarl, Rigel Strongarm here is now the proud owner of Pine Watch. And she is going to keep the borders of Riften safe on this end. You will treat them with respect.
Mouse can't help but piping up and saying, you're a bit far from the borders of Riften.
That might change very, very soon, says the smaller one. The one that seems to...
Mouse just stares at her, puts his hand on the hilt of his dagger.
And you are?
None of your business.
We got a brave one here, and she actually giggles as she looks at as the larger Nord woman. She goes, I kind of like him short and feisty. Avrusa comes up. She goes, Lady Blackbriar is making her influence known far and wide, it seems. Not as wide as some parts of her, but anyway. She goes, I need to speak to your Jarl about the aid that these fine young gentlemen and ladies assisted not only me, but all of Falkreath. And and the guard's going to just like and goes, yes. She goes out. I'm Vrusa Serethi. I'm not sure you've heard of me, but I'm pretty sure your Jarl, or at least your steward, has. Please take me to him at once. And she sort of like, marches past and off the Jarl's longhouse. There's the two Nord women there. Watches you sort of like pass by. So what are you going to do?
So, I think Bruce has got the right idea. Follow her into the longhouse.
Luke, can I speak to you for a moment?
Of course.
We're going to step aside a little bit.
Just you two, or
yes, just the two of us. Mouse has come to respect Luke a great deal, and so he's. It's okay, Jaquai. You don't have to fling your ear. I have an errand to run. Will you tell me what happens in the longhouse? I need to run an errand. I'll be back soon.
Be careful.
Okay, I will. And Mouse basically disappears into the shadows around the side of the inn.
okay. Get back to that. So, Botti and Jaquai and Luke, Lenny and George are not 100% sure what's going on, so they're just following you guys. Now, sort of like, they're looking off to see Avrusa head off towards the longhouse, and they're sort of like kind of looking at you as like, what do we do?
Come on, come with us. And I sort of put my arm around Lenny's shoulder and come on, it'll be okay. And we march off toward the longhouse.
Yeah, Lenny seems very nervous, by the way, as he actually going past those two. Lenny seems very, very nervous. See, you feel a little shake from him as he's walking past them.
Okay.
George doesn't seem to pay them any mind. With your insight, yeah, you definitely notice that. Probably you too as well, Jaquai. So you guys head inside the longhouse, and you see the Jarl, the housecarl, and you see Nenya standing there, all in a very heated discussion. And literally the the housecarl is going, no, we can't allow this, we can't allow this. And the Jarl goes, what do you expect me to do? And he goes, there's nothing we can do. They paid 10,000 gold for that. Just, she can do pretty much whatever she wants. And he's sort of like, rubbing his forehead, and sort of like Nenya's sort of like, she looks panicked as well. It's like, there is nothing. I mean, if the Empire, if Queen Elisabeth is not going to do anything, then there's nothing that we can do to, not unless we openly go to war with her. You want to openly go to war with the Queen Bee? No, not right now, not like this. And then they hear you all come in. They sort of like quickly look over and thank God you're back. We actually worried that you might not make you back. Whether you may have run into that. How are you doing, my friends? Welcome back. Thank you. And then sort of like Nenya, sort of like, when she sees Rusa walking up, she goes, hello? She goes, yes, I believe, I don't know if you do recognize me. I'm Rusa Sureti. And I have heard the name. Yes, I am. Partly my fault for passing on knowledge, but it appears your skooma dealer was almost tried to destroy and kill all life in Falkreath. If it weren't for your and my friends here that came to my rescue and aided me in coming up with a cure, all animal life in this area, and probably some human life as well, would probably very slowly be dying. I've heard from them that you've already experienced some of the effects on one or two citizens that you had here. But thanks to our friends and myself, in no small part, the effect has been thwarted. You'll be very thankful to know. Nenya looks to you guys. Oh, really? Luke, really? Is that what happened? What happened?
Yeah. Yes, we uncovered an alchemist who was preparing a toxin. It ultimately was dumped into the river, but we were able to defeat the alchemist, and with the help of Lady Avrusa and with the cooperation of a Spriggan in a nearby grove, we were able to create an antidote. And I'll reach into my pouch and show her one of the little antidote vials. We were able to help Lady Avrusa create this antidote, which we have put into the river, and it seems to be effective. It's cured our friends here, and I pointed all three of them, and it's cured at least a couple of animals that we were able to cure as well.
The black veins that we saw on Lemkins in the fair. You mean that illness?
Yes. This and I defer to Lady Avrusa. I don't know if this potion has a name, but clearly it's potent.
Oh, thank you so very much. She looks to Sidgir, and Sidgir just kind of doesn't really seem that impressed, and he just says, "So, the skooma dealer's dead, right?
The alchemist who was creating the poison skooma is dead.
Jolly good. Fantastic news. And he looks to Nenya, Lady Avrusa, shaking his head, and she leans in and sort of like whispers in his ear. And then he shifts in his seat, sits up very straight. Well, thank you very much, Lady Avrusa. Welcome to our hold. Thank you so very much. We have our own alchemist in town, Deadly Concoctions. If you wanted to sort of like, any ingredients, be sure to pop in there and speak to our local alchemist, and she'll be happy to lend you anything that you need. Anything at Falkreath is yours if you need brides. Because what I need from you is a very big thank you to these kind people, and also I need a cart, transportation back to Cerethi Farm in Riften. Well, it seems you're a little surrounded at the moment, though. Maybe I shall take a little vacation in Falkreath. Yeah, actually, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. I'd like to explore the area and probably see for myself, collect a few samples, and speak with that alchemist. Actually, that's actually not as stupid as idea as it sounded coming from you. Yes, no, I'll do it. And George sort of like pops up, and she says, "With what we talked about, would you don't mind?" She goes, "No, if you want, you can stay with us, and wherever I'm being put up." And she looks at Sid Gear, and he goes, "Yes, the rooms at the inn. You can stay as long as you like, as my personal guest, and obviously your staff." As he looks at George, George just sort of like literally looks like, "I'm gonna stab you in the throat if we ever get the chance." And George is like, he goes, well, "Thank you." She goes, "As long as you're, it may not probably as quick as Spotty over there was at picking up alchemy, but I'll teach you as much as I can in the time that we're here, and that should get you started at least. Get the right foot forward, and then it's down to you about how much time you invest in learning it." So, wow. I thank you, gentlemen. I'm off to the inn, and remember, Jarl Sidger, and she sort of like kind of bends her head. She goes, "I've got very, very good friends, and one of them, unfortunately, is also the Queen Bee. So, if you're having troubles, maybe I can say one or two things. Well, one. I'll just say one thing, and we'll see if we can sort of like make it a little easier around here." She sort of like goes, sort of like, it starts heading out towards the door. Nenya turns around to you and she sort of like claps her hands together. "Thank you so very much, my friends. There was only one real award we could probably have thought of that was good enough for all you've done for us since you arrived. Not just what Lady Avrusa told us, but for all that you've done for Falkreath ever since you got here. The Southwest X, I mean, yes, you were getting paid for some of them, but throw yourself into danger again and again with naught but helping out is truly appreciated. And Sigir says, quite right, definitely right. And he goes, he goes, yep. And he looks to the house call and goes, Luke Skywalker. And then Nenya puts her hand on Sidgir's hand and sort of like leans in and then whispers to him again. Really? Okay. Yes. Jiquai. I, Jarl Sidgir of Falkreath, grant you permission to buy property in Falkreathhold. If ever you wish to purchase property in our foreign lands, please speak to my steward. In reward for your service, we also would like to award you 400 gold pieces. Thank you so very much for your service. If you are interested in purchasing property, as I said, speak to Ninyi. But today has been a really awful day. Thank you. And then he gets up and sort of like walks off into the room, which you can only assume is his private quarters, and shuts them behind him. Oh.
Why do I suddenly feel like the token Khajiit?
Nenya sort of like laughs and she goes, no offense. And she goes, unfortunately, we there was one property up for sale, but I'm afraid somebody well, you've already met them, on behalf of Jarl Blackbriar, they have purchased Pine Watch. They were a bandit group that we thought we were rid of. They seem to operate around that road area, and even had sort of like I can't remember the term for it. This thing that overlooks the road with traps, and sort of like, you know, attacking caravans as they're on their way down towards Falkreath. But we thought they were with them. We haven't seen them in months, and we know why. Looks like they've been enrolled. I don't think is the word, but they've definitely been taken into the service of Lady Blackbriar, which doesn't bode well for us. But maybe if we can strike a deal with her, they won't harass our caravans coming in. Unfortunately, there is no other place that seems to be a pile apart from, well, there is one place we have been looking to sell for some time, but nobody seems, well, for lack of a better term, rich enough. There is one person rich enough, but they flatly refused. If you're interested, the town of Helgen is up for sale at a dear cost of 50,000 gold. But be aware that this cost is not just to purchase this land itself. That cost would help us pay for workers, for people to come, miners, builders, tradesmen, craftsmen to come in and rebuild the outpost. So then we can kind of negate Lady Blackbriar's purchase, hopefully. And I know it's quite an expense, but maybe you can make the acquaintance of some merchants, some investors who are probably looking to gain land and trade routes throughout Skyrim.
Well, I'll certainly take it under consideration. It definitely is a good outpost for the trade routes. When we were there, you could see that there were several roads that passed through the area. So,
Indeed, it was a very important outpost, but the destruction of that, it was to such an extent that we never had the money in our coffers to be able to pay for enough to be able to rebuild it. That is why the cost is so high, and that's what the money would be to pay. Would provide. It would provide funds to be able to help rebuild. So you would have ownership of the area, and we would supply people to repair it and rebuild it. So if you could find interested parties, doesn't all have to be the same one, who will be willing to supply funds to rebuild the area, I think we could be a great help to each other.
well, I still plan on talking to Rasad on your behalf. So I'll talk to him. The Khajiits aren't particularly, looking to own property in other parts of Skyrim, but I'll see what they're interested in, and perhaps I could set up a monastery there as well.
It would be your property. You can set up whatever you wish there, and I know that such a place would benefit Rasad greatly, and she has a smile on her face, and it has been good tangling with him so far. So she goes out to the back office and secures the gold and brings it out to you in very large pouches, 400 gold pieces in service of Orkreath, and also a writ in the name of Jaquai that he is now allowed to purchase property within the hold of Orkreath. Luke is there, but obviously George and Lenny are sort of like, definitely Lenny is sort of like, has his eye on the goal. So, what would you like to do?
Can we interject a little mouse into here? What he's doing?
So, while that was going on, mouse sort of like rolls a stealth check.
Actually, due to his city secrets ability, he really doesn't need a stealth check to find his way where he needs to go. At least I wouldn't think so. He just needs to visit a friend briefly, and he'll be back. But he would like to roll as to how well he knows or doesn't know Rigel.
Roll a history check.
I guess he doesn't know her at all. Sadly, yes, a 1. Mouse has scored again. Yeah. All right. So, because he's come back from visiting his friend, and he walks up brazenly to Rigel, and then she looks down at him and essentially just grabs his face and shoves him away. And he skulks off towards the inn to wait for his group.
You do. So you head off to the inn. As you're heading over there, you actually see that after more insults thrown at the guards, and the guards are given as good as they get, they have no respect for her whatsoever, or her new friend, it seems. and but they sort of like woo, 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 and start to head off, following you towards the inn. So it's been a couple of minutes, and you guys come out. Going back to Luke and Botti and Jaquai. So after you finish your business with the court, what would you like to do?
We should maybe head to the inn.
Yeah, Jaquai's certainly become considerably more attuned to the large number of mercenaries that surround the city. Now that he's got a bag of 400 gold that he's dragging around.
And don't forget all the cash that Buddy is dragging around too from that chest she opened up.
Yeah. So you, Secretary, you probably spread it around. As you're sort of like looking at the gold, what do you do with it? Equaling around, is it just you're just sort of like hanging it on your pouch, or are you spreading it around with the people that are in the inn, in the longhouse at the moment?
Well, I think we're considering it as part of the group pot. So, but at this point, it's probably safest all in one pile because it's really heavy and hard to run off with.
So why don't we see if we can get a little private room in the inn and have ourselves a meal and perhaps talk with George and Lenny a bit.
Yeah, you'll find Mouse into his second mug of mead.
Yeah, we can catch Mouse up on the events of the Longhouse.
So you head across to the inn, and we'll get to. So you venture across, and you just see the door slam as they walk in. And as you walk in, Mouse, you see this large Nord, sort of like standing in the center of the room, and he's got a couple of pelts for armor, sort of like all cut up, and got a longbow, sort of like hitched to his back, and he's standing next to a table, and just down at the side of it is just this big, massive, like burlap sack, and he goes, yeah, and he goes, nothing else, just dead body, burnt to a crisp, and then just big old bag of nightshade. Weirdest fucking thing. Nobody around. No, I couldn't find any tracks. Nothing. Just burnt to a crisp, dead guy, big old bag of nightshade. And you actually recognize him, Mouse. This is Valder, a renowned hunter in these parts and storyteller. The two ladies follow you in, and one of them yells, the bigger of the two yells mead, and the other one yells ale, and just sit down. And you see, I can't remember her name. You see the wench head over with the two drinks and stuff, like drop and stuff, like as she goes to drop them, then she sort of like pulls them back. Gold up front. As she goes, she knows who she is. She goes, my bounty's been paid, and she goes, and I'm now currently the owner of. I don't care. Money up front. Give that. So then you walk in behind them, and you're all coming in. You see the two ladies, sort of like back in the back left-hand corner, and Mouse is off to the right, up near where the last table that's closest to the bar. As you all walk in, and then there's this big Nord fella there talking, and he seems to be talking to so a very sort of like well-dressed older guy. You've never seen him before, Mouse. He's well dressed at the end of the bar, and he's sort of like listening to Volder's story with a smile on his face. Probably late 60s, early 70s maybe guy. Sort of like goatee beard, sort of like mostly grey, but you could see it used to be blonde hair. Sort of like, and he's sort of like, got a big smile on his face. He's laughing as the rest of your party walk in. And as you walk in, Botty, do you want to roll a history check for me, please?
Absolutely. 3. Oh, no good.
Yeah. So you walk in and you
nothing.
Yeah, you see the big node there, and you sort of like, you sort of like listen to that, and you see this old guy at the end of the bar. Nothing. You sort of like walk in, and he goes, "That's a good story. You got any more, young hunter guy?" And he goes, "Well, I'm always out to hear more stories." What you got? He goes, "Yeah, sorry, what was your name again?" Talsgar. Talsgar the warrior. The wanderer. Nice to meet you. And Butty, you recognize this name instantly. This is the guy who led you off on the path when he first ventured into Valenwood, and you were in that bar many years ago, listening to stories of the Dragonborn told to you by this Nord traveler all the way from Skyrim, telling all he could about his old friend and compatriot at the Bard's College in Solitude. But that's where we'll pick up next episode. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. I'm not sure how long that was, but I can see my eyes are kind of draining, and
yeah, it's late over there.
Yeah.
My notes on this particular part have seemed to made their way away, so I'm gonna hunt those down before we start getting into that. But welcome back to Fall Crease. You've definitely made some friends in the area, but looks like there's new neighbors are moving in.
The plot is definitely thickening.
Skyrim 1080 would like to thank Tabletop Audio for the use of their music in this podcast. If you would like to find more music like this, just go to tabletopaudio.com for more information. Thank you.
Thank you for downloading this edition of Skyrim 10AD. Email the show at skyrim10ad@gmail.com. For more information, please visit asapodcasting.com, where you will find a Skyrim Addict podcast, the Fallout feed, and our Amazon link, which benefits the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Find our social media in the show notes. Thanks for listening.